here with Reality Check, and we have with us Hope Barfield. She is in the 10th grade. And we have Sophie Pope, who just graduated from Leo University. Now, the reason we're doing this reality check is because we're getting ready to do a series on moving to the head of the class. All right. So we're going to be taking a look through the transformation of Peter's life. And we're going to liken it to moving to the head of the class. So, you like school? If you like school, let me see a raise of hands.
It's so.
Yeah.
It has its moments where it's good and moments where I'm like, no.
Well, each one of you, tell me what you like about it.
I mean, I like how I get to meet up with my friends and we can help one another with our schoolwork. And it's just like you're out. It's like an outside world. Like you're not always home. Like you get a, different scenery. You're with your friends. You hear about their life. You can vent to one another. So it's like an escape.
Okay. What about you, Hope?
Like the friends wise, and like it helps you to grow, and like you have something to look forward to. Like you're not just like if you're physical and you go to physical school, then it's like something to look forward to. Like you have to like have responsibilities, and like I like responsibilities, so I like that part about it.
Okay. Are you still going physically or are you virtual
Yes.
now? Oh, you are? Okay. 5 days a week?
Yes.
Okay. Nobody got sick, I guess, huh?
I've gotten quarantined once recently, but I just got back.
Okay. All right. Now, so both of y'all like the aspect of friends, and you said helping one another. And, do you feel like you excel more when you receive help from other people?
Most definitely, because it's like the way that they teach you, apart from what the teacher teaches you, it might be a better way when they teach it in their way instead of listening to the teacher. I mean, you can always take advice from the teacher, but if that doesn't help you, then you always seek help from a friend who can teach it to you in a different manner.
Okay.
Yeah, because a friend, they're gonna probably see it in your point of view more than a teacher. Because teachers like she focuses on teaching you, but the friend's like more of helping, more like a more intimate relationship. So it's different.
Do either of you ever find yourself more so on the side where you're the one giving the help?
Yeah, it depends on what subject.
Most definitely.
Well, what's your favorite subjects?
Math.
Mine would be math.
Both of you math. Math was my favorite subject. Isn't that something? Yeah. Well, you didn't follow math. What your field is healthcare?
Me?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm pointing like you can actually see my finger.
It's fine. My degree was in biomedical health and science with a minor in chemistry. So it had some math.
Okay. And what do you plan to do with that?
Me.
Yes, Sophie, what do you plan to do with that?
The long term, I'm trying to get my PA, physician assistant.
And you, Hope, what do you want to do?
I'm in the business academy at Reef, so I'm trying to get into like business management, hospitality, like hotel, cruise line, something like that, and then work my way up the total.
Okay. This is a real general question. What do you think the purpose of school is?
I guess to kind of lead you into the direction of what you want to do in life.
I think it's more of a try to get everybody on the same level, because you have a group who's going to school, who's not. You get the group who's not going to school. The 5% who make it out because school is not for them, but the others, they have like jobs or just not living the best life that they could. But school, it sets you up for a path to just go further than you would without an education, because nowadays everything at least requires like a diploma or a GED. So like you try to get education so you can have a better life for yours, and if you want to have kids and everything like that.
And what type of teachers do you think get the best results out of their students? Like what type of teachers get the best results out of you? What type of teachers do you like?
Like personality wise? Or like
normally people tend to do well when it's a teacher that they like, don't you think? Or you don't agree? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
So what type of, it could be personality, whatever it is you like about the teacher. What is it about that particular teacher that
I think,
brings the best out of you?
yeah, I think for me, the teacher would have to be like caring and not and make it like known that they don't care about not that they don't care, but they really care about you understanding and not try to like get a test score, what they're required to do and everything like that, and they're there for you, and more of a more outgoing and not just showing you videos on the board and then you take notes from there and then you have a test 2 days after. Like no, like actually cares about their job and tries their best to get you where you need to be.
Karen, would you agree? You have anything to add to that, Sophie?
Yeah, like teachers who are more communicating, like if they communicate with the student and if they see that they're struggling, come to them and like tell them like if you need extra help, let me know. I'm here, tutoring, those teachers who show that they care and are trying to motivate you to do the best that you can. Not the ones that, like Hope said, just, show a video and then give you a test and not explain that video. Because for me, when I was in college, like you get some professors who are like that, will just show you a video and then just leave you to your own devices and figure it out for yourself. And that's where the whole friendship thing comes on, where you get friends and they help you. So I agree with Hope.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing from both of you, still it depends. The teacher's heart has to be in it. They have to care for their pupils. Because if their heart not in it, you're not going to feel like, you're not going to do your best for them, but you do your best because they really want you to do well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when they care about you, you care about your work that you give them. You don't want to just be like, but I understand what you're saying, because some teachers actually do. I had this teacher, one of my daughter's teachers. It wasn't my teacher. It was one of my daughter's teachers. It was more recent from when I got out of school. But one of my daughter's teachers, they were always in GT classes. So the teacher, she was a new teacher in the system. We were in Maryland at the time. Mm-hmm. And she would send home homework, and I have gone through the information with them. So they had to like learn the Pythagorean theorem and stuff like this on their own. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? So I told my daughter, I said, no, you can't be telling the truth. I could not believe that a teacher would do this. So what we did was me and my husband, we set up a meeting with the teacher. And in the meeting, we asked her. My daughter said that you don't teach her the the homework. What you do is give homework, and then you go over in class the next day, and that's your classwork. So she has to teach herself, and then you come home, then they come back to class and do it as classwork. But every homework is going to be something new. Because I'm up here wondering, why do you need so much time and effort in your homework? Why are you not getting this in school? And she was like, yes, that's true. What?
Yeah.
And she said, she's in a GT class. That's what we do here. I'm like, no, all my children have been in GT. That is not what you do there. And she was the last one. It wasn't like she was the first one. So what we did was, she said, well, I'm new here in Maryland, but as I went through the curriculum, that's how they do it here in Maryland. And I said, and come to find out, that was actually what they told them to do. But the teachers who had a heart for it, they didn't do that. They said they know that the children are not going to be successful just doing that. So they went above and they taught them. They did what they should have did. Because I told the teacher, so I need your paycheck. Because I'm doing your job. What are you getting paid for? So she said, well, she's doing much better now. I said, no thanks to you. This was before the Lord calmed me down, okay? I was like, no thanks to you. That's because we stay up all night teaching her. This is crazy. So I don't understand how you can be a teacher and not have a heart for it. I understand if they give you guidelines, but some things are just common sense to me. And if you have a heart and you see all of these kids failing in your class, then you know something needs to change. It wasn't just my daughter. People were pulling their kids out of her class because they weren't doing well. So you do have to have a heart for it. But besides having a heart for it, what do you think the student's responsibility is in learning? What type of mindset should a student have?
I think overall just to try their best because not everybody's gonna be at the same level at every subject. Like some are just more athletic or some are just more like technical or everything. So like just try your best. And then when you try your best, because my mom's a teacher, when you try your best, they're gonna try their best to help you out. So I think the most goal that you should have is just try your best when you're in school.
That's true. That's true. Because I always told my kids, everything you do it in a spirit of excellence. As long as you put your best foot forward, then I can't expect anything greater than that. Mm-hmm. But don't bring me home a C knowing you could have did better. If you get a B and you did your best, you did your best. Mm-hmm. You bring home an A and you did your best, you did your best. But don't bring me a grade where you didn't put your best foot forward. So everything we do, we should do with a spirit of excellence. And now they have different types of learners. Some people are auditory learners. They learn by hearing. Visual learners by seeing. And then you have people who learn by doing. Do any of you prefer a certain type of method? Do either of you?
Yeah.
What type do you prefer?
I need to see it and I need to do it in order to get it.
Okay, you need to see and do.
Yeah.
What about you, Hope? You shake your head. That's the same for you?
Yeah, there's been times where like, okay, I didn't understand what I was doing, and then we took a quiz, and I learned more on the quiz than I learned when I was learning. And I'm like, now I understand how to do it when I have the quiz. Like, it was like so like I don't know. I think I just more of a doer. I have to do it and like know I know what I'm doing and have confidence I know what I'm doing, or it just goes downhill from there.
Wow, that's good. Because see, remember I said we're going to be talking about Peter's transformation. So when Jesus, he was the teacher, of course. But when he came on the scene as the teacher, he spoke the word, but he also lived the word. So you got to watch his life. Mm-hmm. And the disciples got to watch his life. But Peter, he jumped to the head of the class above everybody else. See, they received the same teaching. Jesus, he walked on water. And all the disciples were in the boat and they saw him walking by. But Peter was the only one who said, if it's you, Lord, let me come to you. He was the only one whose faith grew like that in order to move to the head of the class. And see, remember when Jesus first met Peter, he saw his faith. Then he said, I'm going to name you Peter. His name was Simon. He said, and upon this rock, I'm going to build my church because of his faith. But so we all have different types of giftings and we all learn differently. But some people learn by hearing, some by seeing, some by doing. Me, I'm a reader. Now, it really depends. If it's not something I'm not interested in, don't give me a book. It's not going to hold my attention. Even if it's, in that case, I would have to see. And then it might, it might hold my attention like watching TV or watching a movie. But I think a lot of people are more spectators. They like to view things. Mm-hmm. And then they like to get their hands in it so they can actually see what it entails for themselves. So I think that's the majority of the people. But some people actually do because like when I read a lot of self-help books, so in that instance, I learn a lot. So I guess it really depends on the subject matter for me because I guess I can learn either way. But with that being, now you said you're in biology, right, yes. Sophie?
Yeah.
So you have a lot of labs.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you like that class because you get to get hands-on?
I do. I mean, they're all different because some of them deals with chemicals, some deal with dissecting, and others deal with insects, like bacteria and stuff, not insects,
Oh, you
bacteria.
deal with insects.
Well, yeah, one of my classes was invertebrate zoology, and I no not yeah invert, and I had to deal with insects, so it
Mm.
wasn't that bad,
Well, see, that's because you don't mind bugs, I guess. I hate bugs.
except for roaches. If it's a roach, shit,
Mm-mm.
I'm done. But I guess yeah, I do like the labs. It's more interactive and it's not boring. The only down part about it is that they're 3 hours long.
Mm. Okay. The labs, yeah, them labs are kind of lengthy.
Yeah.
Now, you a lot of people don't go that far. I mean, a lot of people go to college, but you
Mhm.
see find more people not going to college than going to college. Why do you feel they don't want to take that step further in learning? Anybody have any ideas on that?
Um, I think it's because first of all, the debt you can get in if you don't have a full ride and everything like that. College is known to be stressful. Just it can if you have other like priorities at home that you have to take care of. That's another reason we don't go to college. Just like a lot of circumstances that have to be taken under control for you in order to promote like prioritize college. Because when you go to college, you're paying for it, so you need to go there and be in college and not have anything, not be focusing on anything else. So I think that's why.
Mm.
For me, it's been really recent. I've been looking at videos and some of my friends too that they say that college is a scam because some of the stuff that you learn, you don't really apply it into the field that you're going into. Like for me, some of the biology stuff that I'm learning, like invert zoology, I don't need that. So it just all depends on the person. Some people think it's a scam because, like what Hope said, like you can get into a lot of debt and have a bachelor's degree, and that's still not be enough. In my case, it's not enough, but that's because of Corona. But it just all depends on the field you're going into, the mindset that you have. Like some people would rather just start their own business and go from there rather than go to college. And there's some celebrities who are just like that who didn't go to college. They just went out into their career. So it just depends on the person.
Yeah, I agree with that. It depends on the person, and college isn't for everybody, but because life is also a classroom.
It is.
Do you feel like you learn more from life than from school?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, school, you're in a class setting. Like, there's no like random variable that's gonna hop in your schoolwork. Like, as life, like, there's different paths to life. Like, you can start off in school, and then something happens. If you step out of school, something like you get in a car accident because you weren't doing what you were supposed to do, and that just it just there's so many variables outside of school that you don't learn in school, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. It make a lot of sense.
Like,
But I also believe sometimes people allow distractions to hinder them. Sometimes I think people don't want to go to college because they feel like other things are priority. Not that they may not want to open their own business, or they may not even have a plan, but they might just want to have fun. See, certain things I think can be a hindrance, and it's pretty much a distraction. Do you see how? I mean, even like when you learn things in life, tell me something that either of you have learned in life that you wouldn't learn in school.
taxes. I have not learned about taxes in school at all, or health insurance of any kind, and I'm learning that now because I just got a car. So I'm learning about like the car insurance and the license. I'm learning all of this now because of my mom. But in school and in high school and in college, they don't teach you that. So that's like a life thing.
Yeah, like a lot of people are advocating for classes to have more life skills in it and just stuff that you would need, like what Sophie said, and then mortgages and all that kind of stuff that you're gonna need later on that you just don't have any clue about, and that could lead you to get into debt, like credit cards. Like the course that I take at REAP, it's business and finance, and like the courses throughout the 4 years that I'm gonna be in the academy, you learn different life skills. Like I learn about managing your money, running a credit union, all that kind of stuff, and just help you be more successful in life. Like it gives you like so much stuff. It gives you certifications to just go further because a lot of this stuff is like I'm in chemistry right now and I'm not gonna use any of that. Like the pre-calculus course I'm in, I'm not gonna use any of that. And it's just so hard to just stay focused on that and you know you're not gonna use it unless you want to be an engineer or something like that, which I haven't like there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not gonna use that. So my favorite course, like I love math, but my favorite course right now is business because I'm actually be able to use that. Like I'm actually able to use every single thing that I learn. I'm gonna have to use every single thing that I learn and like further in life. So it's just,
Mm-hmm.
so it's
Okay.
just yeah, just like that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. From a different point of view, by everything that's going on in society, you know, in our government, things that are on social media, things that you just see in the world, being visual learners, what do you think is being taught to us as learners from what we view? What do
Like
you
for
think
instance,
America is saying?
yeah, I think it's we're starting to like since the Black Lives Matters movement, like other stuff, like we're learning to be ourselves, like and like do more ourselves and not. I think we're becoming more independent. In my opinion, I think we're becoming more independent and just learn to learn that we got to do what we got to do to get where we want to get. I think that's the narrative I'm getting from everything that's coming nowadays. Just based on our situation, like with quarantine, you don't have everybody else you can go to. You got to do everything yourself. You don't have everybody checking up on you every day now. You got to do everything yourself. So just based on the situation that's going on right now, I think it's just more independence and self dependency that's like taking over right now.
Mhm. Is that from something that you've learned through what's going on for yourself?
That I've always been independent, but also just because when you're online, you have a teacher at school, like they're not on you and telling you to do this, you have to do this. That's why a lot of people are like failing when they're like online school because you have so much freedom. You have to have that control to do your actual work and not just slack because you don't have a teacher breathing down your neck and telling you to do this, do that. So it's like more if you have to have control and independence. Like I've learned that more, like not more, but yes, more, but I've already had it, but like I've learned that I have to take control more and have a self control and just do what I have to do to if I want to get where I want to get.
What about you, Sophie? What's something you've learned through all that's going on? What's something you've noticed people are gravitating towards or feeling like they're learning, whether negative or positive?
Well, like Hope said, based on like the Black Lives Matter and what's going on with the government, it's like there's a division, but in that division, there are people who are trying to bring it back together so there won't be that divide. But as far as like school wise, I agree with her. It is like you have to have self control when you're working online. It's hard, and that's where you have to like reach out to other people to get that help because if not, you're gonna fall behind. And that's what I've gotten so far from Corona. Like online is tough. It's tough, and it's gonna be tough for a long. I mean, for a little while longer. But if you don't grow that independency, you won't get nowhere.
So, with all that's going on with Corona and having to take classes online, you prefer to physically actually be in the classroom?
Yes,
Yes.
my classes right now are online, and I hate it.
What's the downside of not being physically there?
It's well, you can go, Hope. I'm sorry.
Downs because I can say because I've been in physical, I've been quarantined for 2 weeks at a time. Downside for not being there, it's like you like for me personally, I just don't understand the same. Like the reason I mainly chose to go to school is because I'm taking college credit courses, so I need to like be there with the teacher. It's like when you're online, it's like it feels like an option to learn. Like should I do I have to ask this question? I don't know, I just chill. I was waiting for somebody else to ask it, and then before you know, the class is over and it's go to your next class. Just press the leave button. It's like it just for me, online school just feels so optional. Like you don't really have to do it, but you do, but you don't. You're at home, and home is where you're supposed to be comfortable. And you're not. You're when you're at physical school, you have that mindset. You're at school. You're at school to do one thing. You're not at school to play around. You're not at school to sleep. You're not at school to eat. But when you're at home, it's like it's just so like I can do is either how you gonna tell me what to do. I'm at my house, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
just like I think that's like the downside of online. It just feels so optional for me.
Is that, do y'all sort of feel the same with that as like getting the teaching from the church as us not as just being virtual with church as well about learning about the
No,
kingdom? No.
no, I don't. No, it doesn't. It's not the same effect. It's totally. It's not the same. Like right now, I feel like I'm getting the same thing because we're not like hardcore learning how to like all this kind of stuff. But when we speak about God, we can still communicate the same way. It doesn't require us writing down something or like hardcore like learning or anything like that. It's just us, our heart, and just learning. So
It
I don't
depends
think
how
it's
hard the lesson is what you're saying.
yeah. I don't think it depends. I don't think it really like impacts church. For some people it might, but for me personally, I don't think it does.
What about you, Sophie? Sorry.
The downside for me at least is that depending on what teacher you have, it's kind of hard to get your question through because they take forever to email you back. I don't like that, especially if it's like a test that I have to prepare for and you're not answering my question. It's really frustrating. But for the church wise, I don't think there's a downside because it's like especially if you really if you have a strong connection with your church family, it's like natural. It's not going to be hard for you to get the lesson because you can always communicate with one another.
It goes back to when you're friends, you help
Yeah.
one another.
Mhm.
So, but with the school, so I mean, yeah, I mean, you said you have to email your question and wait for her to answer you back.
Yeah, if like if it wasn't mentioned in class or you just figured something out or you're trying to question something from the textbook and there's no class session going on, you have to email it. And if your teacher is not good with email, you have to sit there and wait for a cool minute, and that minute can be really long.
Mm.
And then you forget your question. You're just like, oh, another time. And then when you get to the test, it's just like, and then it's the fact of academic integrity when you're taking tests and everything like that and doing homework. It's just like that's why like my AP Psych teacher, she doesn't want us taking an AP exam because most kids are either cheating or they plain out just don't know what they're doing. And it's just so hard. Like and it's too much going on. Some people could have problems at home and now they're home the whole time and they're gonna be doing school. Like it's just too many like factors that impact school when it's online.
But yeah, well, as far as integrity, I think that's a big part of every aspect of learning because there's going to be pros and cons to everything. And depending upon whether you choose to allow those setbacks to hinder you or to make you just persevere, then it can make or break a person. It can make or break a grade. And even in the way COVID is going now, like you said, with everybody, you know, the way you have to interact with the teachers and things, it's kind of like a setback. They say that students' grades are going down, you know, and like you said, because you have to have the desire, first of all. I believe you have to have the desire yourself to learn. You have to make yourself do it. Because if you don't have the desire to do it, you're not going to push yourself to, because there's not really enough accountability. And when there's no accountability, people do what they want to do. So that's why you have to have the desire. And your desire is what'll help you to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people get stuck in doing what they want to do. You know, because everybody has their own will and their own desire. No two people are the same, but we all have a choice to make. And the choices that we make determines our future. So you can say, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to be adamant with it. I'm going to do what I got to do like y'all doing. Or you can just kind of slide back into the background, but like, ain't nobody watching, you know, and there's the integrity. So I think it's on the teachers and the pupils, you know, to make sure that you have a heart for it. Because if the teacher got a heart and the student don't got a heart, it's still not going to work. If the teacher don't have a heart and the student has a heart, then you can make it work because the student going to do what he got to do or she got to do to make it happen for herself.
Mhm.
But I think it's so much easier when you have a combination of team working together. And in the kingdom, we already know the king cares. The king got the heart. So really it's on us. Our transformation process is pretty much comes down to now, do I really want to do this? Or do I really want to learn what I'm, do I have the integrity to do this because I'm supposed to? And I'm not being held accountable. People they don't see me 24/7 because there's so many other distractions. Besides school, people got their friends. Before there was COVID, there was the mall. I mean, it's still the mall. It's still other things that you can do. But there's so many other things I think that people want to do that learning is not always a priority. And sometimes it's not it becomes a priority after, like when you was young. Did y'all like school when y'all was little? Did y'all always get good grades in school?
Yeah, I always had good grades, but it was just like I don't want to go to school, but I always want like you. When I was little, I would probably go to school for my friends. That's probably the only time I probably go to school for my friends.
and your friends, y'all were good students, or you just hung with the fun people?
Mix, mix.
Because there was a time when you didn't hang with the smart people. They were called nerds.
Yeah.
Now, nerds is what's in. Being smart is what's in. Yeah. That wasn't always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Like my husband, right? He wasn't the best student in school until he got in high school. When he got in high school, he got serious about it because he was like, I'm getting older now. My future is going to be affected if I don't. So sometimes it just takes making that decision. And then he realized how good of a student he was, but he didn't push himself, because you got to push yourself. Everything ain't going to be easy. Just like you said about the teachers and all that kind of stuff, everything ain't going to be easy. But when you make it your priority, you do what you got to do. What study guides and learning aids do we as Kingdom citizens have that make us better pupils?
So we have Bible study we can go to, like that. There's always videos on internet, basically anywhere that you want to get informed. There's study groups, Bible groups, just camps you can go to. I remember I still go to a camp. I used to go to a Bible camp for the first 2 weeks of summer. You can go to. There's your friends, your family. You can go to. There's a lot of things resources other than directly reading straight from the Bible that you can use to better understand God and everything like that.
What do you find helpful as a study guide, Sophie, for Kingdom citizens?
Podcasts. I listen because it's in right now, and it's just so easy to just pop in your headphones and listen to sermons. They even have like 10-minute morning Bible devotions. Like it's even like I have a devotional book right there in my record player, and I read that every morning as a way to get more connected with God. So, like how Hope said, you have your phone. The phone literally has everything you need. If you don't understand anything.
That is so true. That is so true. And another thing I like to watch, I like true story movies.
Yeah.
I love true story movies because the ones that are inspirational. Because I think they build your faith. It's a lot of stories that if they happened back in that time could be in the Bible, but you weren't living back in that time. We could write our own nowadays. Our own faith book. But I love testimonials and true movies. And true
stories.
True story movies. Of course, the Word of God. I make sure I read that every day.
Yeah.
But also talking to the teacher. We don't have to wait until he email back.
No, you don't.
Now, sometimes he don't answer right away, but he always going to give you the answer before you need it. But we have so many study guides to help us propel and move to the front of the class nowadays. And we have to make sure we utilize those study guides, because we're in, what do you call it? What do you say? The signs of the times are showing that we're in the last days, and people got to get themselves right. So, and we as kingdom citizens, people are supposed to be watching us. They're supposed to be drawn by our light. So if we don't do, others are waiting for us to do. If we don't do, then we hindering somebody else's progress. See, we're supposed to be the ones helping out the other students, and we're not always doing what we're supposed to do to help out the other students. But yeah, so many study guides we have nowadays. We have the Bible, we have prayer, we have podcasts, you know, the internet, Bible study on Wednesdays, and we got Pastor on Facebook on Sundays, and it's so much. So we need to make sure we utilize our resources so that we can learn what we have to learn as students of the kingdom, and we can advance forward and receive the transformation we need to move to the head of the class.